As we head into the final months of the year, it's a perfect time to rethink about our credit card strategy. Not just to take advantage of all of that holiday spend, but to also set yourself up for future travel. And that's exactly what I'll be doing today for my own setup. So in this video, I'll dive into the brand new card I've just added to my setup, how I'm leveraging my current setup, which cards I'm eyeing to squeeze in before the holiday season, and steps I'm taking to prepare for what I hope will be another major trip next year. So when it comes to choosing a card, especially when my main focus is for travel, there's always a few important factors to keep in mind. First, I look for travel benefits that will make a difference on my trips. Things like airport lounge access, hotel upgrades, or status. Then I prioritize cards that will give me flexible points, giving me the option to redeem with multiple partners, greatly boosting the versatility of these rewards. And of course, a solid welcome bonus is key because it's one of the fastest ways to earn a lot of points in a short amount of time. And recently, one card not only checked off that last box, but offers a strong earning potential, especially as I ramp up my spend towards the end of the year. And that's with the Capital One Venture card. With an upcoming work trip and Black Friday and holiday season around the corner, I know my spending is going to increase and I want to make sure I'm getting the most out of every dollar spent. That's why I'll be primarily focusing my spend on the Venture card, as after I hit $4,000 of spend in the first 3 months, I'll unlock the generous 75,000 mile welcome bonus. At about 1.5 to 2 cents per mile in my books, that's around $1,125 to $1,500 in value just from that welcome bonus, essentially giving me about 37.5% return on that initial spend. That's a huge boost, especially since I'm eyeing travel plans next year. What makes it even better is that I applied during a limited time offer where, in addition to that welcome bonus, I also unlocked $250 of travel credit to use through the Capital One travel portal. It's a nice extra perk to have, and I already know I'll be looking to use that for my upcoming travels. But even beyond the welcome bonus and the credit, the Capital One Venture card still gives me great earning potential, consistently earning me 2 times miles on every dollar spent, regardless of the category. So I don't need to overthink it when trying to decide which card to use for what spend, whether it's flights, dining, or everyday items. And by the time I hit that $4,000 of minimum spend, I'll have earned an extra 8,000 miles because of that, making it a really strong catch-all card in my wallet right now. But no, I'm not just adding new cards to my wallet, I like to keep it pretty slim. In fact, in order to make room for the Venture card, I'm actually swapping out one of my all-time favorite cards, the Capital One Venture X card. Now, you might be wondering, why would I pull a card that's been such a major part of my core setup? Well, since both cards earn me that 2 times miles on everyday spend, my day-to-day usage doesn't really change. Plus, when it comes time to use that $300 travel credit on the Venture X card, I don't need the physical card anyways. The same goes for that 10,000 mile anniversary bonus, which pulls together into the same bucket. I don't need to worry about transferring miles between cards or accounts. It's a pretty seamless system, which has been my experience with Capital One overall. But there is one scenario that I would definitely keep the Venture X with me, and it's an issue I came across when traveling to Cancun a few weeks ago. As you may know, one of the major perks on the Venture X is having Priority Pass that gives you unlimited guests. This is something you don't get on priority passes with the Chase Sapphire Reserve or the Amex Platinum cards. During that trip, we had a huge group because we were going to Cancun for a wedding. Thanks to the Priority Pass on the Venture X, I was able to bring a group of 10 people into the Priority Pass Sky Team Lounge at YVR, a personal record for me, and a pretty useful data point if you come across the same situation. In fact, someone else in the group had the same card and brought another 10 people into the lounge, so we pretty much filled the whole lounge with over 20 of us in there. On the return trip, however, the Priority Pass Lounge at Cancun wasn't able to physically accommodate so many people. And so instead, I combined the Plaza Premium Lounge access on my Venture X and my Amex Platinum card, also a card I don't typically have in my main wallet, but do bring with me on trips for a similar reason, to combined get 6 entries into the Plaza Premium Lounge. Previously, when I was doing something similar, the group size was 5, maybe because I'm technically the card holder on both cards, but maybe the staff was feeling generous that day. So while the Venture X might be out of my main wallet for now, it will be coming with me on any group trips I go on. Having a lounge with decent food to relax in before a long flight makes a big difference, especially when you're flying 6 hours and only get pop and snacks. I'm looking at WestJet. Now let's talk about a card that saw pretty much zero action in Q3, but is definitely making its way back in my wallet for Q4. And it's a card that, when the timing and categories align, offers a solid 5% back on those select purchases. It just wasn't right last year when the categories were gas stations, EV charging, select entertainment, and movie theaters. This might be great for some, but it just didn't work right for me. Even though I do drive an EV, I typically get free charging at work, and when I'm driving far, I'm usually supercharging in Canada, and because the card has foreign transaction fees, that 3% extra really cancels out the benefit. But now that we're in Q4, things really took a turn. The new 5% categories really fit my spending a lot better, which includes McDonald's, PayPal, pet shop and vet services, and select charities. Yes, McDonald's is nice. Some might say it's like a luxury because you technically can't have it every day for health reasons. But what I'm really after is the PayPal category, especially with holidays around the corner. Since PayPal is accepted at so many retailers, I'll be able to earn pretty much 5% back on so many purchases, whether it's gifts, travel, or everyday purchases, as long as they take PayPal. And the card that's making it all happen, the good old Chase Freedom Flex. What's better is that this slot in my wallet will actually be for 2 cards. The other being the basic Chase Freedom card, which I got from product changing down from my Chase Sapphire Preferred not too long ago. Both cards share the same 5% categories, but each has their own $1,500 limit every quarter. So instead of just $1,500, I'll be able to spend up to $3,000 in this quarter, where if I'm able to max that out, giving me the 5%, I'll have $150 or 15,000 points just like that. Points which, when paired with one of the staple cards that has been in my wallet for years, can double, triple, or even more in value when redeemed strategically. And that card is, of course, the Chase Sapphire Preferred card. Not only does it come with its own generous welcome offer of 60,000 points after $4,000 of spend in 3 months, it also offers great multipliers. Specifically, the 3 times points on dining makes it my go-to dining card for all of my restaurant and food spend, and has me covered when I travel outside of the US, given it has no foreign transaction fees. But what makes this card really stand out is being able to pool all my Chase points across my cards in order to redeem for higher value through transfer partners, like World of Hyatt, Aeroplan, or Flying Blue, just to name a few. Now, going into detail on how to maximize these points could take an entire video, so be sure to check out this one for a step-by-step guide on that process. For now, that pretty much sums up what I would have in my wallet for the next short while. But like I mentioned earlier, I want to maximize the value I get from my spend, and there's a good chance I'll be adding yet another card into the mix in the not so distant future. One option, or actually 2, that have caught my eye are cards that are pretty different from what we've talked about so far. They offer a way to really supercharge my points without affecting my personal credit score. Yes, I'm talking about business credit cards, but before you tune out, let me just say that business cards are easier to qualify for than most people think. If you have any side hustle or side gig, like mowing lawns, selling on Etsy, or driving for Uber, you most likely would qualify. And the specific cards I'm talking about are business cards from American Express with the Blue Business Plus card and the Business Platinum cards. Since I'm already an Amex customer, there's also a good chance that I won't be hit with another hard pull from getting new cards, sparing me the temporary dip in my score. But why these cards and why now? Well, I recently received some targeted offers that are pretty hard to ignore. For the Blue Business Plus, I'm targeted for earning 50,000 points after spending just $5,000 in the first 3 months, a big boost from the 15,000 point baseline. Add in the 2 times points per dollar spent on business spend, that's totaling 60,000 Amex points after finishing that welcome bonus. A big boost for future travels I have in store. On the other side of the spectrum though is my targeted offer for the Amex Business Platinum card, giving me 250,000 points after spending just $15,000 in the first 3 months. A massive jump from just 120,000 points after a higher $20,000 of spend in the same time frame. The thing here though is the high $695 annual fee and not being sure if I'll able to make the most use of all the credits. The $400 Dell credit and the $200 airline fee credit maybe, but the rest of them not so much, especially when I already have clear credit on my personal Amex Platinum card. Which of the two would you pick? Now shifting back to personal cards, there's another option that recently came onto my radar, and it's because of a major shift in the aviation industry. With the merger of a Hawaiian Airlines and Alaska, something interesting has happened. You can now transfer Hawaiian miles to Alaska miles at a 1-to-1 rate. Not only does this make American Express and Alaska kind of pseudo partners transferring points through Hawaiian, it means Hawaiian cards could be interesting now, as it opens up a whole new set of possibilities for using those Hawaiian miles through Alaska, which is known for incredible sweet spots like flying JAL, Cathay Pacific, or recently Starlux. And with a 70,000 mile welcome bonus after spending just $2,000 in the first 90 days, if transferred to Alaska, is already enough for a JAL business class flight from the West Coast over to Japan, which only costs 60,000 Alaska miles, turning a card with a $99 annual fee to a flight worth about $3,000, with miles to spare. But there are a couple downsides. The perks that come with the card, like the extra miles from spend or the free checked bags, are very specific to Hawaiian Airlines, which I wouldn't really use. Plus, with the potential influx of miles from this merger, I wonder if availability on those highly sought after JAL flights would dry up, making these miles less valuable. And in that case, maybe I should just stick to flexible points instead, with one issuer I haven't jumped into yet, but offer some strong value and great transfer partners, and that's Citi, where I would have access to unique partners like EVA with a 1-to-1 transfer rate, and book one of my favorite business class flights to Taipei for just 75,000 points, a flight that would normally cost about $2,500. And I'll have quite a few cards to earn those valuable points with the Citi Double Cash, Custom Cash, and Strata Premier cards. Between the welcome bonuses alone, that would net me 115,000 points, enough to cover a lot of travel. Not only that, but the cards themselves offer some amazing earning rates too, with the 2 times everything with a double cash, 5 times on the top spend category with a custom cash, and 3 times on restaurants and supermarkets among others with the Strata Premier. Then there's one final card I should have added a while ago, especially considering how rent is such a major monthly expense. With an upcoming move and rent about to increase, maybe it's about time to actually go for this card. And I'm talking about the Bilt card. Earning points on rent is huge, especially when you're in a high cost of living city like I am. And while Bilt recently reduced their rent day bonus points cap from 10,000 to just 1,000 points, it's still a great deal for anyone with significant monthly spend on rent. Alright, enough about cards, let's talk about travel. What's coming up soon, what's locked in, and what I'm looking forward to maybe later next year. First off, I've already got a couple trips coming up before the end of the year. I'll be heading out to a work trip to New York City again, which honestly is one of the better cities to have a work trip because there's so much to do outside of work, and then Las Vegas to use up a few of my free nights. And then a trip that's already locked in for early next year, and that's with a group trip of 6 people to Taiwan and Thailand. I won't go into all of the details as you can watch the step-by-step process in the video up here. But essentially, we booked 4 business class tickets and 2 in premium economy, valuing our points at about 3 cents per point, flying to and from Asia on the same flight. Thailand is also a spot that most of us have never been, so it's going to be great to check out a new country, especially since we'll also be hopping around Thailand with some flights paid with cash. That's H1, but what about the second half of the year? Well, I'm still working on a trip likely to Australia for 3 people, ideally all in business class because that's why I'm in the space for. But as you may know already, finding room for more than 1 or 2 people on the same flight in business class is already really hard. I did recently help that friend book a trip to Australia, routing to Taipei on China Airlines, then to Australia, or through Singapore to Australia, which can work again maybe, but it seems like a lot of the availability for this routing has dried up. And direct flights are nearly impossible. There's availability, but the points are way too high. So what am I gonna do? Well, set up searches and alerts, which means again using Seats.Aero for setting up alerts, as well as bookmarking searches from cities along the West Coast to major cities in Asia or to Australia directly. If I can get 3 business class tickets on the same flight for about 100,000 points or under per person, that would be perfect. I just have to keep in mind that Seats.Aero may not always show the best pricing. For example, you can see China Airlines flights through the Qantas search engine, but not the Air France one anymore. And so a list is priced at a pretty high 104,500 points. Whereas when you check the exact same flight over at Air France's website under the Flying Blue program, the points required are much lower. And another routing I recently learned that could work out if everything aligns properly is looking through the JAL program itself flying over to Japan, whereas some dates have as high as 5 seats available. It's more difficult though because in order to get to JAL points, you have to transfer from another program like Marriott Bonvoy. But if the points cost on JAL is as low as 35,000 or 50,000 points, going from Amex to Marriott Bonvoy to JAL might be worth it, especially if there are any bonuses transferring from Amex to Marriott Bonvoy. And so the way to have the best chances at locking in the award flights that you want, look far in advance. In my case here, about a year in advance. Set up alerts and bookmark searches that you check on regularly. Be flexible in which city you can fly from, in my case, pretty much all along the West Coast, and flying to. Here wanting to fly to Australia, but pretty much open to stopovers anywhere in Asia. And then be ready to book at a moment's notice with the points required. But for an exact step-by-step walkthrough on the process required, ensuring you're maximizing the value from those hard-earned points, make sure to check out this video here. Happy travels, and I'll see you over there.